I work in Orione Community Training Centre. I am a special needs education teacher and I am the head teacher. In our institution, our objective is channeled in 3 different areas. We have the education area, we have rehabilitation, and we have the occupational vocational training. So in these areas, we try to make our students who are less fortunate and vulnerable in our society to be more independent and self-reliant. The population of the center is 55 and we are hoping to have more students. And we have 6 classrooms and the average of each and every classroom is around 13 to 15 students. So what we usually do in classrooms or in the education area is giving them basic arithmetic skills in reading and writing, so as they can have a concept in number work and also in language. When I was in college doing my teaching skills, there was a unit in special needs and I found it very much interesting, and in 2005 the center was started for children with mental challenges and I was engaged in it. So I saw it better to exercise my skills in it, and I continued working in this area and I've been there for the last 10 years. And this is my 11th year, though in a different institution. This is our rehabilitation area, and our main client in this area are children with cerebral palsy. We have occupational therapists training the mother on how to do some exercises, massage, at least to make the children use their mobility part of their life.
My name is Richard Magana. I'm the project coordinator, Orione Community Training Centre here in Kenya. And this area that we are in forms the 3rd pillar of our institution, which is the vocational training. And here normally what happens is that the kids who are above the age of 16, we normally take them through a process of 2 years training in farming. And during these 2 years in training in farming, we basically teach them about the basic farming skills, to identify tools, how to work well with other people. And then after these 2 years, that is when they achieve the age of 18, we employ them in this farm. We make them contracts like any other normal employee. We open bank accounts for them and we pay them their salaries. And then when we do the payment of the salaries, normally we do a follow-up of how they're using this money, how they're accessing the money. And sometimes we even go further to ask them what they want to do with the money. And then we guide them and we let them actually decide on how to spend their money. December 2013, we called on the community for the parents who have children in need of special support to bring them out. And in only this one instance, we received over 100 children. And from this, they saw that there is a need, and they started working on making this project a reality. We actually see, and we also see another view of life, a view of life that normal people assume doesn't exist, but exists in the reality. We see that these children are able to do even more than what you are able to do. They can do the farming, they can be self-reliant, and they can be independent. And this really motivates me to help them achieve their own dreams and their own ambitions.
One thing, it's a vocational part in my life because I like it as a vocation, not only a job, because it makes me feel that there are people in the community who need our help, and these people, they are of permanent support. So I do feel proud when I see them being independent or becoming self-reliant.
All right, so I am very excited this morning to have Father Peter and Richard here from Orione Training Centre. They've just opened up a new one there, as you've seen in Rongai, doing a lot hosting 60 children there, and there's another one in Thika. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure and an honor to have both of you here.
It is a pleasure.
Both of you have a very, very deep passion for helping, especially young people. Father Peter, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about Orione and specifically their contribution here to Kenya and where it all started.
Fine, thank you. First, I must say that Orione is a short form of Don Orione. In Italian, Don means priest, and Orione is the name of the person. Therefore, speaking of Orione means a center that the Sons of Divine Providence are running, in Kenya especially, and this center focuses strongly on the care of people with disability, because our founder, Orione, had a very big passion for the people who are mentally challenged, physically challenged, the cerebral palsy, and all these people whom he felt that they are in the society very vulnerable. And these are the people who really need help. And therefore, he began this center in Italy, but now we have spread in 34 countries around the world. We are present in Africa, in Ivory Coast, in Burkina Faso, in Togo, in Kenya, we are in Madagascar, and very recently we have moved to Mozambique.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
A lot of great effort and work being done, especially to help some of these young people. Richard, perhaps maybe you need to give us a little bit of a background when it comes to mental disability and, of course, parents and children who are dealing with cerebral palsy. You have, autism. In Kenya and even in Africa, this issue has been surrounded with a lot of stigma and lack of understanding. Are we doing better as a country, or is it still the same, Richard? What can you say?
Well, in my point of view, Kobe, is that as a country we are practically trying to do something there. But according to the UN figures, 10% of the Kenyan population are people with disabilities. And out of this 10%, only 1% have access to education and health services. This is the rehabilitation. So we still have a long way to go. Well, the Kenyan government is doing well. We have a law, the Disabilities Act to 2003, which was recently amended in 2014. The law is there. What is lacking is strong implementation policies and procedures. So slowly by slowly, we are going to get there. But what we are doing as a center right now is to try and address the need that these children need to be seen out in the society. There are people who are with us, and they are here with us. We need to appreciate this. We need to let the parents know that these children are supposed to be brought out for the community to see them, because this is what is going to tone down the stigma and the discrimination that they suffer. Absolutely.
There is, nothing worse than hiding somebody who is alive, and all they probably have are a few disabilities, and they're able to function. And that's why I love these training centers. Tell me first, of course, about the Thika Center that started in 2005. And a little bit of the challenges of starting a center like that, because of course there has to be sensitization at community level. You have to convince the parents, and then there's the resources that are needed as well there. Both of you can come in on that and then tell me some of the lessons that you learned when you were opening the Rongai Center. Father Peter?
Fine. First I must tell you about Thika Center. The background of Thika was very humble, because once one of our priests was working, we have a parish in Thika. Therefore, one of our priests was walking around, and he saw one child who is physically handicapped. And generally, as you have already mentioned, people don't like to have these children seen. And it is also very clear, you are a Kenyan, I'm a Kenyan, and even the Kenyans out there can attest to this, that many times if you have 4 children, one is handicapped, you would easily introduce those who are not handicapped, and then practically put it aside the one who is handicapped, and you don't want to mention anything. So this priest discovered that there is one child in this family who was physically handicapped, and therefore he asked the other people in the church, if you have any other person who is handicapped, bring forward. And then in a very humble beginning, they began a very small place in Thika, and then from there we began to know that not only that family had a child who was physically handicapped, but there were many others, and together in Thika there were about 20, but now the number has increased. As already Richard said, they are about 40 now.
Okay. I love the power of one story. You know, I love the power of one person who can totally change everybody in that community's life. And that's basically what happened in Thika. Obviously, so starting something like that, and very humbly, as has been said, Richard, is very difficult because it has a lot of challenges. You know, there's many things that happen that because you've never done that before.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you faced, you know, opening the Thika one, and how those challenges helped you overcome some issues that would have come up with the Rongai Centre.
Okay, first, while we were starting the Thika Centre, the first thing, as Father Peter said, was to invite the community. Actually, we invite them to come out. We saw the number, and there was a very big number, and then the need comes. What can we do for these children? What can we do for the youth and for the parents? And the most challenging part is actually not the funding part. It's about the parents actually feeling comfortable to bring these children out. This is the most challenging part of the center.
Right.
Because for over, let's say a child is 19 years old. For 19 years old, nobody has been there for this kid.
Yeah.
Nobody has offered any support to the family.
So in terms of development, they're really at a very low 5-year-old, 6-year-old level, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the main challenge, to make the parent feel comfortable to bring this child out. So once we did this part, and they saw that there's hope for these children, we started now with the education, because we work in 3 areas. We work in the education and the rehabilitation.
Yes, we're actually looking at that right now on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, that is what we work on the rehabilitation. And here what we concentrate on is the physical rehabilitation, where the physiotherapist works to strengthen these children, the muscles, to reduce the spasticity so that they can actually move their fingers, move their hands, so that they can slowly by slowly start doing the normal activities. Okay. Then the second part in this rehabilitation, we have the occupational therapy. As you see, some of these children actually have not achieved their developmental milestones. They are not able to do the activities of daily living. Toileting for them is not something easy. Yeah, dressing themselves up. So this is what we start. Slowly by slowly, we develop them in these areas. And then from this part, now when they achieve a certain age, we take them through vocational training in the farming. So the challenge is there to make these parents feel that there is hope for their children, to make the society feel that this center is there to help them. Yeah, because some of them, I remember, were telling the senior director that they're tired of lies.
Right.
They're tired that there is hope coming. They need to see it. So this is the biggest challenge.
Okay.
The funding comes later, because then people see what you're doing, they become interested, because a lot of people out there in the society want to help, but they don't know how. But once they see the center there and the children working, then they start helping.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's one thing that I absolutely love about Orione is that, you know, it's not just, and we are looking at the shots right now, they're right there on your screen, even if my director can just take me off and put it on full screen, is, you know, about training, you know, proper training of these young people and teaching them and making them self-sufficient. Father Peter, tell me about this and why it's very important for these young people to know that, you know what, you can earn your own living, you can find your passion, you can live your dreams regardless of what your circumstances are.
First, I must thank our senior director, Father Alex Ruiz. Father Alex comes from Chile. He was the director of the center in Chile, and now he, as you know, as his priest, we are always moved from place to place. He was finally transferred to Kenya, and he was the first director, also second director in Thika, and now the first director in the new center. He came in with a very good idea. You know, the centers we have in other countries, for example, in Ivory Coast, for example, in Togo, these centers are boarding. And you know, in boarding, parents usually bring their children or their young adults to the boarding school or the boarding facility, and they go away. So the next thing they'll do is just to call you and say, hello, Father, how is my son, how is my daughter doing?
Yeah.
But they don't come. So they forget about the child because you are taking care of the child. When our new director came, he came up with a new idea, and we say now our centers in Kenya will no longer be boarding. our centers in Kenya will be day. Day meaning that we shall only do day, and then the parent will do 50%. So it is no longer going to be 100% taking care of the priest, but now it is going to be the priest will do 50% during the day, and the parent must also do something. So this has generated a new impact, because parents know that the children are important. They cannot just throw them away, but they can be helped, because now we can be able to take care of disabled children, and then the parents, they can go to work, earn a living, then the end of the day they can come to collect them. Thank God we have people who have supported, as you already can mention to you.
Yeah.
The First Lady, Her Excellency Margaret Kenyatta, came to our center in Thika in 2013 October. She was very impressed.
Wow.
Safaricom came to our aid. You know, as Richard already mentioned, in the beginning, parents were carrying children on their bags, bringing them to the center.
Yeah.
But then Safaricom came in first, and then they bought us the first bus. So we got a bus from Safaricom, a 33-seater. Then we came to Rongai. We also had a problem. We didn't have a bus. We want to thank, in a special way, Hickey Family Foundation from the United States. They came in recently, and they bought us the bus that is
Thank God
there
for
now.
well wishers, right? And thank God for supporters, because that's all we really need as a country.
So what I can conclude is saying, the disabled people are sometimes seen as objects. You know, when they are there, you have to do everything for them.
Yeah.
You have to wash them, you have to feed them, and all this. This makes the family fatigue. So our new director, Father Alex, said, now let us try, because even if we cannot take them to our school because they will not pass the exam, what can we do? Let us teach them to do something for themselves. They learn how to eat, they learn how to wash themselves, they learn how to use a toilet, and they can now do this for themselves. Now we reached a stage after 18. What do we do with them? You know, when they are 18, they are no longer children. They are now adults. They are always dependent. So then our director felt it's good, let us begin the project of farming. And I do feel that the project of farming has done a good job, because we have one in Thika who has saved the money, and he has built his own house.
Wow.
He's able to live in his own room, he's able to wash himself, he's able to work, because helping to plant vegetables, so all this is quite good. And in a special way, I also want to thank people who have come on board to buy our vegetables that we are producing.
That's beautiful, very, very beautiful. Now, farming is absolutely a wonderful, way to give them purpose, and to ensure that economically that they're able to sustain themselves. Richard, tell us about this particular project, and tell us exactly how sustainable is it long term. And because you're going, especially after this show, you're going to get more requests for children to come to your centers.
Yes.
And so tell us about that expansion, so it just doesn't plateau.
Okay. So as Father Peter said, we concentrate in the vocational training, but here what we are currently doing is farming. But this doesn't mean that we are only concentrating in this. Actually, we are open to new ideas. What else we can train our children in? What else can make them happy in what they are doing? But for now, what we're doing is farming. And this project, actually, the first part was to just provide food for the center. Yeah? But with the surplus now, we started approaching markets. For example, Uchumi is our biggest buyer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Good
We
stuff.
supply Uchumi with vegetables, and I really doubt if the customers know that this produce comes from children who are differently abled.
I wish they would know, because I bet you anything they would even support it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where our produce, most of it ends up, and then in fresh and juice, and then in the local community.
Okay.
Well, this project, thank God it's running well, but about the weather, the farming also is a challenge in its own self. Yeah. But now, thank God, slowly by slowly, we are realizing money, we are realizing profits, and from this money that we make, we are able to support our children. We are able to provide food for them. We are able to even to employ them, such that we make them contracts, 1-year contracts as farmers. They farm, they earn their money, they save this money. So it is a project that is able to sustain the farming part and the food for the center. But also in some other areas we are lacking. We are lacking in the area of volunteers in rehabilitation, because this is another core area that we need. We need rehabilitation such that these children are able to do everything by themselves. This will make them self-reliant, and the society will be able to appreciate them more, since they can actually see that these people are actually adding value to the society.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, now of course looking at the rest of the communities across the country, Kenya is going through the devolution exercise. It's a big deal. You know, it's a challenge to even like address issues on a county level. But when you look at these two centers and how the government can even come in and try and replicate centers such as this one across all 47 counties, you know, is this something, and especially since you've mentioned the First Lady and her initiatives, especially when it comes to issues that deal with health, what can be done by the Ministry of Health to replicate some of these centers, or even, you know, partner with the Orione platform and see whether they can develop something like this? What can you say, Father Peter?
Yeah, as we've already mentioned, we are just a few members. Like, we have only 2 centers in Kenya. We cannot pretend like we can offer solution to all the 47 counties, but your question is quite correct, that if we can do the same in other counties, we can change lives. Because you know clearly that in every county, we have seen in NTV where people have been locked up in homes or houses because parents don't want them to be brought forward. So the only problem is, many times, you know, working with these people, you become a bit tired.
Yeah.
So you need patience. And in the Kenyan society, myself as a sociologist, I can say that this country is a very stratified country. That is, class matters a lot. So Kenyans will not like really to associate themselves with something they feel like it's a bit low, or many people want to be at least in a class a bit higher. So that is why we have this problem. But if Kenya can take it upon themselves and say, these disabled people, they belong in our society, they are going nowhere. We have heard rumors that these people, they are not good, they are this and that. This is the rumor that goes around and everybody fears them. They are human beings.
Yeah.
They are able to eat, they can feel it, they can do something. So that is the place we need to be. Government has done its part, and I think there is already a national organization for the people with disability.
Yes.
We have the office here in Westland. If we can join together with the government, we can do something for these people. And I want to thank in a special way some people I saw recently who are aired on TV. I don't know if it was on NTV or another channel, about some people who are sacrificing to bring some disabled people from their homes to their working place.
Yes.
If every Kenyan can do just a small thing by helping a disabled Kenyan, we can be able to remedy this.
Okay. Right, we have a caller on the line who'd like to ask a question or contribute to the conversation. Good morning.
Morning to you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for calling, Boro. You have a question or comment for my guests?
Yes, actually, I was saying I'm a person with mental disability
Okay.
since 1984.
Okay, so he's 30.
Yes?
He was born in 1984?
No, mental disability
Uh-huh.
since 1984 when I was in Form 1.
Oh, okay, yes.
I've gone through the round of education and now I'm a civil servant.
Wow, okay.
I've been trying to get the tax exemption from people living with disability in Westlands because they provide that.
Yes.
But since 2013, I've been trying to get. I applied for that in 2013, but they have never provided with it. But when I go, they tell me this, they tell me this, despite going all through the procedure.
Right.
I wanted you to answer them why perhaps they are doing that.
Okay, thank you very much for that question, Boro. Richard, what can you say to that? A lot of red tape, you know, in just trying to get something very simple done. And of course, when it comes to people with disability, this is a huge challenge. What can you say to Boro?
What I can say to Mboro is, what I feel is that the true test for any democratic government is that they need to protect the most vulnerable and the less advantaged in the society. And this is where we have problems, because when people with disabilities walk into the office, there is the stigma and there is the discrimination that is associated to them. And this is what I would like to ask the authorities involved in the issue of Mboru, just to speed up his process to get tax exemptions, because this is a right under the Disabilities Act of 2003. It is a right that he's supposed to enjoy, and it is a right that he's supposed to get. So I would like just to ask Mr. Mburu to just visit the offices again, not to give up, because sometimes we really need to push and push until our voices are heard.
You mentioned, Father Peter, the Westlands headquarters. Tell us a little bit about what it is that they do, and, you know, could it be more efficient for people like Mboro? Because I'm sure he represents many, many people who have tried and failed, and for, you know, for some things that we take for granted, you know, being able to leave one place and go to Westlands, it can be quite difficult for some. What can you say to that?
Surely, as a center, you know, it is the umbrella body.
Okay.
And therefore, perhaps as individual organizations, sometimes you don't see the direct impact of the organization on each individual organization. However, they are the ones who have all the right, and if, for example, we have issues, we usually present to them, and they must know that something is happening. But what we know is that they organize. For example, on the 3rd of December, there will be the World Day for disabled people. So usually they are the ones who organize this. And they are supposed to campaign more for this. And therefore, we really want them to come out more strongly to campaign for the rights of the disabled. Disabled are varied from, as you have already mentioned, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autism, main disability and all that. So they must shout more.
Absolutely.
Than me. They must do more, because they are the umbrella body, and issues that concern the disabled people, they must shout more. We thank them. They have done a step higher than where they were before.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was he talking about when he talked about tax exemption?
What was he was talking about is that people with disabilities are exempted from paying taxes,
Okay.
some taxes, by the government because of their condition. But this sometimes is not forthcoming, because,
yeah, I'm sure,
you know, our offices sometimes there's a lot of bottlenecks, because the laws are there, and this is where we have another challenge. The law is there, but the implementation part is what is lacking, because if the Disability Act was put in place and implemented in the way that it was written, Mr. Mboro and many other Mboros out there would enjoy all that is in the Act. Free mobility, a barrier-free environment. How many matatus can have are accessible to people with disabilities?
Absolutely.
How many buildings are made to fit the people with disabilities? Very few. And this is where we ask the government, actually, what they can do is to help implement the Act in totality, not in parts, because sometimes you implement this, then there's a lot of noises that is done. So they need to implement this so that people with disabilities can be taken care of.
Absolutely.
Can I come in briefly?
Sure.
To say that disabled people, they don't need mercy.
Yeah.
What the mistake we as
Pity, this pity thing, yeah.
Kenyans, the mistake we are making all the time is like, no, he's disabled, what can I help on this way? The disabled people, they only need opportunity. So just like we are giving opportunities to many other people, this is the same message I can say to Kenyans. If you have a disabled child or somebody who has a kind of disability, just give opportunity. The opportunity will make the person to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, not to depend on somebody else to do this for me.
I like
So
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as we wind up, of course, one of the things that I can certainly say is that there has to come a time when you walk away, even for parents with normal, you know, children who grew up a normal life, you have to let them go and live their life. As you've said, the man who's now self-sufficient, he's got his own farm, and he's, you know, at what stage, you know, do you as Orione Centre say, you know what, this young man has been with us from when he was a teenager, and now, you know, he's become a young adult. When do you cut those ties? And is it very difficult to do that? Richard?
Well, Ms. Kobe, what you can say, to cut the tie is not easy.
I'm sure.
Because these children, once they walk into the center, they become part of us.
You end up falling in love with them.
Fall
You end
in
up
love
being
with them,
yeah.
you feel anything that happens to them, it hurts you as a person. So normally what you're doing right now is to make sure that you create as many opportunities for them, as many opportunities that will make them self-reliant, that they're able to earn their money. If they can do this within the center, it would be our greatest joy, because then Like a parent, sometimes you need to see your child every day, and this is what we want to do. But then we realize it will come a point that this child actually wants to integrate and live in the outside society. Also this we appreciate and will really much support them. But what we look after most is their happiness.
Okay.
If they're in the society and they are happy, we are also happy.
Good.
But if in the society, they are not happy, they are suffering, they are being discriminated upon, it's better that they remain in the center and we can help them from there.
Okay. Father Peter, what can you say to you know, to letting go? And at what stage do you let go, and how do you make that transition seamless?
Yeah, let me say this, that perhaps Kenyans don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps you and me also did not know, but now you must know, as we believe in here, that these people also, some of them, the girls get pregnant.
Okay.
And also the men have sexual desires. What have we done? Many times we feel like these people, perhaps they are just like objects.
Yeah.
So these issues have come up. For example, in Thika, we had a lady who became pregnant,
Okay.
not one, two, and they gave birth to normal children.
Yeah.
So as we are already saying, how far can we kind of let them go? To be disabled does not necessarily mean that your offspring will also be disabled.
Right.
So that is why...
Disability is not genetic.
Good.
Yes.
Therefore, what happens is that once, for example, this lady is pregnant, it is not the family to come and shout at her, you know, you are this and you are pregnant and all this. So this we must avoid and know clearly that they can also raise a child. And how can they do it? Now, as I've already told you on the project of Thika, from our experience there, if somebody can build his own house, one of them wants to get married. So we shall be following up to see which lady she marries. And don't tell me that he must marry a disabled person.
No, of course
so she might get, or he might get somebody who is normal, I mean, who is not disabled, and they get married. So I think with the two, they will complement each other.
That's
the
beautiful.
husband who is disabled will be complemented with the wife who is not.
Absolutely.
And in this way, they will be able to raise up a child who is not neither disabled, neither has a problem of autism or cerebral palsy.
Okay.
So we must be sure that these people, they are normal, like in other way, especially when they get to that level of having a family.
Okay. Now, the message that I'm getting here today is very clear to me, is the call to action for Kenyans who are watching, the call to Kenyans, to private sector and to government as well, is to do more, is to show up and to help and to be sensitive about some of these issues. Now, of course, you, Richard, would like more volunteers, especially physiotherapists,
Yes,
right? Especially
teachers.
teachers.
Yes.
Go on, this is your chance.
Yeah, we need
Ask for
volunteers.
whatever you want. They're watching.
Thank you very much. So actually what would require more is volunteers in the area of physiotherapy, occupational therapy, teachers, special school teachers, and also trainers, people who can train the children in other things that they can do as a vocation. People who know how to do carpentry, weaving, beading, all these people are most welcome, because then our children will expand their knowledge, will expand their skills, and they'll become self-reliant.
Okay.
Then the last part, obviously, I would ask the Kenyan society, because as a Kenyan, I feel sometimes you're not very charitable. We are, but not to the best level. And I would invite more people to come and visit our center. First, know what we're doing, see the costs, and see the people that you're working for. And then from there, help us, support us, because we are a charity institution that needs sustainability, that we need to run, we need to fend for these children, we need to protect and defend their rights. So I would invite the private sector, the government also, and private donors to visit our center. It's in Ongata Rongai, in Kandisi, and the other one is in Thika. Visit our center, see what we do, and then from there, let's work together.
And perhaps somebody can even be inspired enough to open a center within their own county or their own community.
Sure.
And this is something that would be wonderfully beneficial. You're just about to finish construction. You're left with the parking and the cabro?
Yes.
Okay, great. And we would love, of course, to keep following this story. And if anything beautiful or anybody beautiful, a beautiful story comes out of Orione, please keep in touch with us. And we'll be happy to send a team there to cover that story for you. We're here as NTV to support such amazing projects.
Yes. In fact,
Can I say...
Go ahead, guys,
Can I
please.
say, I want to, in a special way, thank a few people.
Sure, Father Peter.
Number one, I want to thank our director, Father Alex, because he has put a lot of effort to it.
He's here, right? Is
I
he?
think he's somewhere. I cannot
He's
see him,
somewhere.
but
He's saying he's a bit shy, but
Yeah.
we appreciate him
Number
absolutely.
two, I also want to thank some Kenyan volunteers. And among them, I want to thank in a special way Ken Simetal, Mr. Pindolia, and the Hindu Council of Africa. They have come in, all the greenhouses, they have donated to us more than 6 greenhouses.
Wow.
As you know, we have in Thika and in Rongai.
Okay.
We want to thank also Safaricom. They donated the first bus to us. We want to thank Hiki Family Foundation, the United States. They have given us the second bus. And they also would like to invite some Kenyans who can be able to do something. If Kenyans, they spend a lot of money on luxury. It is not me to control their pockets. But I would really like to see if Kenyans can commit themselves a bit more to charity, we can be able to eradicate the issue of disability of people who are dependent. And as the First Lady really mentioned to us, she was very impressed about that project, and we call upon Kenyans to come on board and see what we can do on that.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here this morning, and we absolutely are honored, and congratulations on all your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Right, so there you have it. What are you doing for your community, and especially where are you contributing a lot of your privilege or your luxury even, or your time? Okay, log on to our social media platforms. We will connect you to Father Peter and to Richard of Orione Training Centre and find out how you can help. For now, let me just quickly give you the answer to our question of the day. It's right there on your screen. Between which years did Kenyans win the 1991 Boston Marathon 10 times in a row? And the answer is 1991 to 2000. Yes, I know you guys remember that. So only 3 of you got the answer right very fast. That was Peter Muli, Mohammed Hassani, and Miss Sunday Miss on Twitter. Congratulations. Come on down to get your gifts and awards. And we shall see you right here tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody. Make the Monday count. Bye. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.